In this lesson, we will be creating our debt analysis as part of our ratio analysis. Okay, so let's insert a new page. Then we go back to our Power BI, PowerPoint templates where we create our templates, our backgrounds. So let's duplicate this slide. And let's call this debt analysis. Okay, make sure holding Control, select your header, select the background, right click, save as. And let's call this debt background. Okay, that's fine. Go back to my Power BI. This one here. Just need to find the right one. Just one, yeah. There we go. Sorry, it's got too many things open. I do advise if you're developing Power BI, try and minimize as many windows that you've got open, applications, just to speed up your development. Because as I said, Power BI is quite resource intensive. All right, so there we've got that. Let's do our background first. Okay, there's our back date analysis template. I'm going to go and copy those cards like I always do, put them at the top. That's good. Okay. All right, so first thing we're going to do for the debt is we're going to go and create some financial ratios. So let's get started. First one I want to create is my debt ratio. Divide my total liabilities over my total assets. Okay, that's the first one. Next one would be my debt to equity ratio. Okay, divide total liabilities, total equity. Okay. Next one I want to create is going to be my long-term debt to total assets. Okay, and then the last one, let's look at non-current assets to equity. Okay, so there's all our ratios. Let's just file them. Go to our model, debt ratios. I'm just going to file this one under debt ratios, enter. Okay, and I'm just going to drag and drop and file them. Okay, happy with that. Okay, let's go back. Next thing is I want to create my menu. So debt slicer. What I want to use is show debt ratio, debt to equity ratio. long-term debt to total assets. And we'll also show non-current assets to equity. Okay, I think that looks all right. Debt ratio. Okay, I'm happy with those ones. Let's load it. Don't forget to save your work. I haven't done it in a while, so let's just save it. Okay, let's drag our options in there, change it to a slicer, background, and horizontal, and turn off the slider header. Okay, so you should know these things by now. And again, it's up to you how you format these menus. Okay, maybe I'll do it like that. Okay, that's fine. Okay, we might as well do our switch max functions for this one. Okay, so let's go debt slicer, let's go new measure. Debt measure for slicer. Go switch max. We're going to refer to our debt slicer, the options we've just created. Okay, so let's do this debt ratio. We want to look at the debt ratio measure we've just created. So these are the ones we're going to do now. So if I select debt to equity, show them debt to equity. It's as simple as this. This one here. Long-term debt to total assets ratio. This one here. None. Okay. Okay, I think that should be fine. Okay, let's insert the area chart. Once this is loaded. Okay, let's grab this date measure for slicer. Let's put the values in there and let's put the date again. Okay, like that. It's this one here, the year. Okay, let's sort this by year. And let's sort it ascending. Okay, 2017 done. So let's look at our debt. So our debt ratio has gone down. Our debt to equity. It's also down. Long-term assets to total assets. So I'm going to see something here. Okay, I'm just going to turn this back. You don't have to do this. I'm just testing the things make sense. Okay. I don't want this as a whole number. That's wrong. So that should be a decimal. So we should be able to just click on that and break it into a decimal. Let's do decimals like that. It's only still one. I want to break it, so it's 2 decimals. Let's do 2 decimals. So there, now it's 2 decimals. So that's the. Okay. Let's create our summary table. Let's do what we did in the efficiencies. We can perhaps just let's select all of this. So make sure all of them are selected like that. Control C. Control V. Don't sync. Make this a bit smaller. Okay, let's just do some maintenance. So this one shouldn't override that and that and that. Okay, that's fine. Okay, let's update our table with our debt ratios. So I'm going to first remove these. Start off blank. And let's look at our debt ratios. So let's just put them in here. Okay, so there's all of them. I'm just going to space this up a bit. Maybe something like that. I may move this down a bit. I'm just selecting all of that, drag it down. There we go. I'm going to probably make this one a bit bigger. Something like that. Something like that. Okay, move this up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to replace these with a couple of these ratios. So let's put our debt to equity there. I'm going to put our long-term debt to total assets, and then I may want to just do the debt ratio. Okay. Okay, so this debt ratio is decimals there. So this debt ratio here, it probably also needs to be decimals. Let's just check. Auto. Okay. So that was it's set to billions because we copied and pasted from efficiencies. Just set that to display units as auto. So if these measures don't look right, just check that your settings are right. Okay, I think I just want to move this up a little bit because we're going to insert some more charts at the bottom. We can align this. You just drag, there's the line, so it shows you how it's, when it's aligned. Okay, at the bottom, let's again, let's create some additional, let's do 100% stacked bar chart. I'm going to do something like this. And yeah, I'm going to show my total assets to my total liabilities. So drag my year there, come to my key measures. let's look at our key measures here. For our balance sheet. So I want to see my total assets because we're looking at percentages now. We don't need to take the chords to my total liabilities. And again, this period slicer is overriding this one, so we need to switch it off. So click there, switch it off. And there's the composition, so I'm happy with that. I'm just going to turn off the title. I think it's fine to have it like that. That just shows the composition. There's the trend for each year. I may want to do perhaps like let's maybe do a tree map chart. So where is the tree map? This one here. Perhaps we can show what is our non-current liabilities, our long-term debt. Let's look at our non-current, this one here. Let's put that in here. And let's look at the date. Again, this one, turn it off. Okay, so that gives me a composition of each year's non-current non-current liabilities. Okay, I can maybe non-current liabilities by year. And then perhaps just to wrap up for this one, we can maybe do a clustered bar chart, and we can show the movement in current liabilities year on year, non-current liabilities. Let's do that here. Okay, so you see something went on blank here because one of these charts is overriding another one. So you see only this period is selected. That's why it's overriding all of this. So to get out, see if I select that period, nothing happens. So if I select that one, now it shows all of them. Okay, so this is something to note. The best thing is actually to make sure that this one doesn't override any of these. So for example, if I click on this visualization here and I click there, if I select 2017, nothing happens to that. But you see it's impacting all these other charts. So what I'm actually going to do is just do it like this. You'll see edit interactions. It's not overriding anything. Okay, so it doesn't matter where I click. None of these charts are impacted. So I do advise you to always check edit interactions. Okay, the last one I want to do is I want to do my non-current assets. Maybe I'll do, I think I'm actually going to replace this one. Let's do, I think I'm going to do let's just see what a stack column chart looks like. Okay, again, it's my date, put in my year, and then I'm going to put my total, my non-current assets. So we're looking at debt, so we don't have a non-current assets card, so maybe we're going to have to create one here, because I want to show that to total equity cards. Okay, so the first, I'm going to put in my total equity charts. I don't want this one to override that one. So there's my total equity feature. I want to show that in relation to my total, not equity. Yes, I want to show total equity in relation to non-current assets. But we don't have a non-current assets cards here. Non-current, we've only got that one. Okay, so let's create another one. Non-current. I'm just going to reference to the non-current assets. Measure. That one times 1,000. That should be right. This one here. Put it here, file it there. Okay, I don't want to show that chart. I just want to see which one's more meaningful. can show that one, or I can show this one. That's probably also right, this one, yeah. So this is a clustered column chart. So if we put the data labels, it will just show us our equity versus our non-current assets. Okay. That's all right. Let's just call this, I'm just going to call this equity. And I'm just going to call this non-current assets. Okay, something like that. Okay, seeing this one's highlighted because something else has been clicked on. If I click on that one, see it overrides all these ones. So again, what I would advise is on every chart that you don't want it to override, just go and block out all the ones that you don't want it impacted. This one. Okay, so there's the trend. Okay, a lot of, let's, something like that. I'll just play around with colors. Yeah, okay, so that's another example of a visualization we can do. And this time we looked at debt with all the ratios. You can also conditional format these if you want. These using data colors or data bars. And then, so we've got a menu here where they can look at the ratio for each period. I just want to see this one here, total long-term debt to total assets. Let's just have a look here. I think we're missing that description in the menu. I think because that's why it's not showing. Okay, so we're going to have to go to Power Query Editor and add ratio at the end. So I'm just going to highlight that. So this is another example of how to fix it, because you'll see the menu here says doesn't have the word ratio in it. That's why it's not working. If you look at our debt slicer, you see the DAX here, it says that it needs to have that ratio in the description in the menu, and it doesn't. Okay, so that's what I meant. So let's go to transform data. Go to our debt slicer and just highlight that one, right click, replace values. And you just paste in the one that I've set. So just add ratios at the end. So we click OK. It's actually changed the description to ratios. So if we close and apply, let's see what happens. Still loading. Okay, it's fixed it, you see. There's another example how important these menus are that you get your wording right. So I've added back, you can see there's ratio in the description, and that's why it's working now. I'm just going to change this to, I don't have to put a label on that. Okay, so all that's working now. Perfect. All right, that concludes this lesson.